What's up, heathens? How are you guys doing today? I'm doing alright. On this portion of the stream today, we're looking at how Max perceives the atheist movement in general. We're going to be hearing a lot of reoccurring themes, a lot of how can you not grasp this simple concept, as well as this whole immediate validation thing in atheism. Apparently that exists, but it really doesn't. We'll also be covering how atheists are just bigots and horrible people and all these other great things. So if you want to hear more about that, then stay tuned.
Okay, so in getting to the state of atheism,
Great! I've always wanted to get my information about the state of the atheist community from somebody that actively promotes hatred towards the atheist community, while at the same time being friendly to some atheists in the community. It's a pretty good mindfuck, and that's going to be a general theme of this particular video.
and in his book, The New Atheist Denial of History, and the things he said in this interview.
Oh, wait. You've brought this up a few times. I don't know what you mean by we deny history. Like, I mean, are you talking about, like, the Hitler, Stalin, Pol Pot and Mao kind of thing? Like, we deny that they were atheists or something like that, or whatever? I mean, I really don't know what you're talking about here, Max. Because we don't actively deny history. We want to know the truth about history, and we actively promote the truth of history. The Bible is not truth about history, nor is your rhetoric against the atheist movement. That cognitive dissonance just turns into overdrive and you just shut out all the rationality.
The whole idea that atheists are persecuted. Okay, fine, you and I are really mean to atheists, but any of them talk to them. We don't actually hate anybody. We're just shit posters. And your behavior and the behavior of many of your co-religionists is just that vile, and you should be called on it. Most of what you speak about Christianity is pig-ignorant garbage. And most of your co-religionists speak pig-ignorant garbage about our history. You all spread false science about us, and you treat us like you're coons, you're dirty Jews. You laugh at us and you make us the butt of all your jokes. And when we show that you're empirically wrong about something you're saying, you just double down and get nastier. Most of your community are horrible, hateful, nasty, bullying bigots. And I don't apologize for saying that, because most of you are truly horrible to people. And you don't deserve any respect for it. Now, you could go ahead and get your fans to come out here and say, I'm crazy old man, I'm insane, I'm hallucinating, I'm making things up, I'm a bad guy. Well, fuck your fans. Your fans are often some of the most nasty, horrible people I've ever encountered in my life. They come in and they harass the shit out of people. They're nasty as fuck. And you, sir, are frequently nasty as fuck.
I was going to say Christians are the most persecuted minority in the world, both by atheist governments and by Muslim governments.
Alright, so this is basically a special pleading argument. I mean, Max is full of fallacies, so be expecting this to be a general theme of his as well. Now, you see, Max and deflating atheism are assholes, specifically to atheists. Now, while they are assholes to atheists, that does not mean that atheists are being persecuted. But at the same time, atheists that are mean to them are indeed persecuting them and the whole Christian community. So you can see how it's a special pleading argument. They think they're special when they're really not. You're an asshole on the internet with an opinion, just like I'm an asshole on the internet with an opinion. Again, you're not special. I mean, Christians have it really good in society, and they can't handle that.
So you're not adopting any sort of edgy, iconoclastic position by being an atheist. You're actually falling in line with some of the most despotic regimes that history has ever known.
Yeah, and I've actually made me some Muslim friends, and I think, who would I rather, be ruled by? Them or those Muslims that I've met that are pretty okay? Or, fucking Sargon of Akkad? And my answer is I'd rather be ruled by the Muslims.
Oh, you mean people who consider, just like Christians, people that are outside of their own faith to be infidels and therefore need to be killed? Now, granted, this isn't all Muslims. There's definitely layers to the Muslim community. But the pure and simple fact is, in the Quran, it does tell its followers to go and kill infidels, who are lumped in there as anybody who's not Muslim. The Bible also espouses this ideal. I do believe this is a remnant from, controlling the people group and making sure that a people group, stays self-contained instead of venturing outside of the group. I mean, last time I checked, ISIS was still cutting off the heads of Christians out there in the Middle East. I mean, honestly, the worst thing atheists do is call you retarded. Max has a really bad habit of overgeneralizing a group. Commonly, this is called a hasty generalization, and it's a fallacy. So when you take a small portion of the group and expound it to include the entire group, or it being indicative of the entire group. So here, Max is saying that some Muslims aren't bad, so therefore all Muslims aren't bad. This type of thinking just really shows how myopic and childish he actually is. Now, he goes on for some time here talking about how Muslims just, have a belief in a God, and therefore that makes them inherently more moral or better than somebody without a God belief. He even goes as far as to say, well, I've met nice atheists and I've met nice Muslims, but the Muslims are better because they have a belief in God. I mean, a belief in God doesn't make you a more moral person. There's more than enough evidence in the recent past to show this particular correlation. It's just like disbelief doesn't immediately make you a more moral person. But I will say in specific areas, leaving your faith will oftentimes make you a better human being.
The atheism that we're facing today is completely godless, completely lacks any sense of scruples, morals, ethics, runs on demonstrably false history. It runs on demonstrably false science. It's an ideological cult, and its primary focus is the destruction of Christianity.
Whoa, that right there is a gish gallop of accusations. Again, like before, what history do we deny? I know I'm not going to get an answer out of you. It's really odd how Christians will bring up Stalin, Pol Pot, Mao, and all of that to, highlight how atheism's horrible, but atheists generally are the last ones to bring up Hitler. Now, the cases in which we do bring up Hitler are to show you how belief or, any kind of belief in a God does not equal good person. Because, like, for instance, Hitler, being Christian, is a good example that belief does not inherently make you, a good person. This is just an example of the whole concept that just because you believe in something doesn't make you good. That would be called a non sequitur, because the first premise does not logically connect to the conclusion.
What's the point of your atheist? Just make fun of people you don't know.
And so much of their argumentation is just flailing against a straw man. If they actually knew what a Christian believes, or if they could at least remember what they believed as a Christian, they would not have that option of just pretending like Christians believe in the man in the sky.
We do remember. I mean, that's why we get emotional. We remember growing up and being lied to by people that loved us. Now, true, they were lied to as well, so, I mean, they weren't themselves lying, but it's just the general way that religion is a lie. All of those thoughts and feelings resurface and we get angry. Now, for a time after leaving religion, some atheists are indeed angry, and that's fine. They generally come out of it.
Stop relying on this, I know someone who came from a religious home that was abusive, or you came from a religious home that was abusive, and there's non-abusive religious homes. Everybody's, the one thing about Christians is they know it's not okay to abuse the kids that way.
Yeah.
All right, so this right here seems to imply a no true Scotsman fallacy. Christians that abuse kids obviously are not real Christians. That's simply untrue, and we can see that by recent events. If you don't recall, out in California, a mother and father, if you could even fucking call them that, had their children chained up, like, in the basement and shit. Had them sleeping in their own feces and stuff. I mean, the oldest could barely even fucking function. So don't sit here and try to tell me that, Christians don't abuse their kids. I mean, I would call this right here abuse.
So what makes math work?
God.
What makes the laws of physics work?
God.
What makes the laws of probability work?
God.
Yeah, Max, I would say that this is evidence of you emotionally abusing your kid.
Because indoctrination just means teaching people. You know that, right? It just means if you go to school and learn math, you're being indoctrinated in math.
No, this is just simply wrong. He's using an archaic version of the word indoctrination in order to make his point valid. This is an equivocation fallacy, or you could call it a dictionary fallacy, because he's appealing to a certain definition in the dictionary regardless of other definitions that exist. Not only that, but it's an archaic definition. As we understand indoctrination now, it's uncritically teaching something about a belief or faith.
I don't think there's so much. I don't think there's as much danger in a person experimenting with that as with atheism, because atheism provides such a powerful source of immediate validation for people for basically arbitrarily closing off their thought. When they could just say, there is no evidence for God, bam, it's like, a steel door closes, and then they have this chorus of people saying, oh wow, you're so rational and scientific.
All the evidence for life after death has been debunked.
It's been debunked.
It's funny that this guy, says that we are the ones with closed minds, but yet he is the only one here that's showing himself to be closed to other people. I mean, if you want evidence, here it is.
Atheists say there's no proof for God. Why do they say that?
They're confused or lying.
That's right. Now, should we hate atheists?
Nope, but you can't trust them even if they seem nice.
Why not, son? I know because it's sad, but why can't we trust them?
Because atheism is full.
I'm afraid it is.
Max, you have a steel fucking case on your mind against atheists, and regardless of the fact that you actually have some atheist friends that you can talk to rationally, you still appeal to this narrative that you have that atheists are horrible, they're immoral, and they're just shitty people.
Well, listen, you said something about, being 12, 13 years old or whatever, and that's true. I will go on record as saying, honestly, I think if you've never at least considered atheism, there's something wrong with you. You're not a very curious a person either.
Yeah.
But ultimately, it really is, you join atheism so you can be right about everything. And then atheists start fighting when they don't agree who's right about everything. It's classically observable all the time. It's what's going on in the atheist community right now with all this.
Wait, we're not the curious ones? Really, motherfucker? Because last time I checked, religious people are the ones that stifle curiosity, not atheists. I mean, the very first book of the Bible has Eve eating from the tree of knowledge and then condemning the human race. If that's not a big sign carved in stone that God doesn't like you actually searching for knowledge, I don't know what the fuck is. And then if you want to look later on in the Old Testament, you have the Jews wandering for 40 years just because they questioned God's ability to protect them. The theme of the Bible is do not question God. And nobody becomes an atheist so they can be right about everything. That's not a thing.
Everybody's fighting to be right. And it's this whole narcissism phrase, in addition to the ideological incoherence of the whole thing. Oh, we're skeptics. Never mind that you could be skeptical of anything at any time for any reason.
How is atheism a cult of narcissism? I mean, honestly, it's not like we're the ones over here that thinks that some magical guy in the sky created this earth and the entire universe just for little old us. That is some narcissistic as fuck thinking.
I just want to say, in case this was not clear, I was that arrogant, haughty, little obnoxious 13-year-old.
Wait, you were? You mean you honestly don't think you're obnoxious now?
Thankfully, I never fell in with atheism.
Whew. I mean, I'm glad too. Otherwise, I'd have to be fucking embarrassed right now.
And it's a lie, man, especially because when your life starts falling apart, those people are nowhere to be found.
Yes.
Always. Because there's no honor in that crowd, and there's no real friendship. It's who can do for what. And that all sounds real, oh, it'll all be transactional. You make me happy, I make you happy. Yeah, but that's not the sum of human relationships. It's just such a dead ideology.
I mean, friendships are what you make of them. If you have a really good friendship, chances are they're going to be there for you whenever you falter. Online friendships are a bit more flexible though. It's not like you live in the same town and you can go over and have a beer with them or something. I mean, I've been trying to get out of my state a little bit more here lately, which more on that a little bit later. But if you make solid friendships, depending on, you know, the people, obviously, regardless of what they believe, they could be there for you for a long time. I know that if I really needed it, I could reach out to Shannon, Pelagia, or Telltale, or anybody, GM Skeptic. I could reach out to any of those guys, and they would help me. Luckily, though, I have KC here for me.
It's ludicrous how bad this ideology is. And I think a lot of them are going to eventually see it.
Yeah.
I think a lot of them even have. And that's the last thing, too, I've noticed. Talk to multiple people. They'll confirm if you leave atheism, ooh, man, they all have it in for you, and you become an unperson, and they begin bad-mouthing you like crazy and saying you went crazy because you didn't want to be atheist anymore. How's that not cult behavior?
This is not true at all. I'm guessing that he's referencing Brett Keane or possibly, you know, himself. But, you know, if you're going to leave atheism for Christianity and then come online and be an asshole to each other, don't be surprised when people are an asshole back. You can't push this persecution complex just because people are assholes to you because you were the asshole first. I mean, just take Teresa McBain. She was a minister at first, and then she lost her faith while still being a minister and joined the Clergy Project, and then she went back to being a Christian. Couldn't give a fuck less that she went back to Christianity. Now, if she starts spouting off dumb shit in the public light, yeah, I'll make a response to her, but that doesn't mean that we're persecuting her.
Conscious awareness, you don't really have it. You don't really even have free will. And in any case, even if there is such a thing, you couldn't define it. And it's all ultimately an emergence effect of the electrochemistry of your brain and your selfish genes. And every word of that, by the way, is just pseudoscience. I mean, like, all of that is pseudoscience. I can tell you how every step on that is pseudoscience.
I like how he says that he can prove that electrochemistry in the brain is just bullshit. I mean, you don't even point me to any kind of evidence that would suggest that. You just say, oh, I know it's bullshit. It's like the guy on the corner that's like, listen, I know all of this vaccine shit is bullshit, so don't take those vaccines, kids.
If you really think a mother beholding her newborn child for the first time is merely a squirt of oxytocin and prolactin and serotonin and whatnot, oh man, no.
We don't even have to get into the science of it. That is pseudoscience when they say pleasure is serotonin, pleasure is dopamine. That is a non-scientific claim. The most you can say is that serotonin and dopamine correlate with the subjective states of pleasure. You can't say that they are. That is bullshit.
Okay, so you disagree with the natural explanation of things. I get that. But at the same time, you're going to have a hell of a lot of evidence to suggest that that natural explanation is wrong. When all you have is just a book that says it's magic. That sounds like some rational logic there. I mean, if you can explain something naturally, you just can't emotionally appeal your way out of that shit.
Well, because again, Christians are the most persecuted group in the world, so when you think it's all edgy to slander Christianity and say, oh, the world would be a better place without Christianity, that's the exact same ideology of China and North Korea. So
it's not edgy to slander the Christian religion. It's not any of that. And also, that's not a motivation for people to be an atheist or to stand up against Christian ideals being pushed in the public sphere. We just sincerely hate it when Christians try to push their dogma on other people and the general public through government or just in the public space. Why is this concept so hard for you to grasp?
It is, and you're talking about me and my kid.
Nobody is talking about you and your kid specifically, okay? Calm down. You don't have to get all personal with this shit. I mean, I did call you an asshole with an opinion earlier, but I mean, that's everybody on the internet. Also, it's a double standard for you to be able to espouse your shitty ideas on the internet, but say that I can't espouse my shitty ideas in response to your shit ideas. Again, Max, you're not special. It's completely unreasonable for you to think everybody should just sit back and eat your shit up like the discount Terminator.
So it's so brave for you to make an enemy out of my little boy who loves going to church, and be a monster because I take him. Yeah, no, that's not someone who wants to be my friend.
We aren't making an enemy out of anybody, especially your son. That's just an appeal to emotion. But I would like to also submit another exhibit.
Or an adult who told you there's no evidence for God. You know that's always a lie, right?
Right.
So what makes math work?
God.
What makes the laws of physics work?
God.
What makes the laws of probability work?
God.
Why do they say that?
They're confused or lying.
That's right. Now, should we hate atheists?
Nope, but you can't trust them even if they seem nice.
How about you stop teaching your kid this shit there, Max? Because the only one that is harming him in this instant is you. Thank you, Heathens, for joining me today. I hope that you liked it. I know it was kind of long, but I did want to respond to every point that he was making. There's still a lot left in that stream, so if you want to go and check that out, do that down below. While you're down there, leave me a comment with what you thought about his statements. Whether you liked them, you agreed with them, you didn't, whatever. Don't forget to smash that like button, and be sure to stand up and use your voice. Bye, Heathens! Are you talking about the whole Hitler, Stalin, Pol Pot and Mao? Pow. If that's not a big fucking billboard caved in... if that's not a big sign caved...